Bueno, pues ¿qué tal? Muy buenas tardes, esperemos que estén muy bien. Estamos aquí en Grita Radio. Pues el día de hoy tenemos el honor de estar platicando con una de las bandas íconos que tuvimos la oportunidad también de escuchar hace muchos años, formados en 1995, y ellos son Gus Gus, que me da mucho gusto. Bienvenidos a Grita Radio, ¿cómo están, chicos?
We're welcoming you to Grita Radio. How are you guys doing?
Thank you, Ricardo. I think we're doing pretty good. We finished our album and we're about to perform our new album live on the 29th of May, and so we're full of excitement and looking forward to play again to play our new album.
Ok. ¿Cómo han vivido la transformación desde 1995 que crearon ustedes, pues como colectivo? Fue primero como de actores, a ahora llevarlo a la realidad. ¿Cómo ha evolucionado la música de ustedes en cuestión de crear música y de evolucionar la música?
How do you feel about the transformation that you've had since you started? You know, that it started as a collective of actors and singers up to this day. What's the evolution of the band?
I think that at least on my end, it has, you know, just how the GusGus history started as a loosely connected collective. You know, it was all about exploring possibilities, and due to how the band started, it came clear that GusGus was a band that was free to reconfigure itself and recreate what kind of methods and attitude it would put into their music. And so that has basically defined the couple of phases that we have been through, you know, like in the 90s doing a little bit more trip hop, and in the early 2000s with Earth as the lead vocalist doing a little bit more girly, pre-punk, housey kind of thing. And then, you know, when Urdu left and Daniel came back, we went into a little bit more German influenced techno, and after that fusion, and some we have basically just dove a little bit more into song structure and arrangement and lyrics. And this time we are trying somehow to combine the experimental intellectual electronics of the 90s with the early attitudes and chord structures of the late 70s, early 80s in the new wave. So I think it's you know, it's really really enjoyable being able to, you know, being an electronic musicians to be constantly able to somehow explore and fuse together different genres and times and ideas and concepts.
And all those changes has come with the different people that have been coming and going. So it's all affected by the chemistry of the people who are creating the music.
Ok, justamente en esta evolución, vámonos a la parte técnica. Han sido muchos, la tecnología ha avanzado mucho para crear música. ¿Con qué se quedan del pasado para crear lo nuevo y qué usaron nuevamente para crear la nueva música? En cuestión de las herramientas para hacer música, eran diferentes.
Regarding how you create the music, and talking about the past, what kind of elements do you keep from the past that you still use in your music nowadays? You know, even though the technology has evolved, you know, along all these years, what's the gear that you still keep and, you know, like still use from back in the day?
Well, for me personally, I still have my voice that I had on the first album, but I also think that my voice has evolved a little bit. I've become more mature and more I don't know, more able to adapt new new characters and textures and flavors to my voice. I mean, we still have some gear, some technical gear for some music, you know, equipment, musical equipment from when we started, but we have also evolved in that way. Biggie, maybe you can explain better that in that department.
Yeah, I think that, you know, we are, I would not define GusGus as really up-to-date technology band, you know. And I think that is basically what we have maybe kept from the 90s, is basically the attitude towards electronic music more than maybe the gear itself, because then the attitude was all about, you know, somehow being intimate with the equipment, you know, with piece of gear that you could just smell doing the sound somehow, and you could turn the knobs, and it was just you could touch it, and you can, you know, just hold it and cherish it and love it, and this intimacy with playing with gear, where the gear itself is part of the band and part of the creation. It's not just a software in the computer with all the other software in the world that you have in the computer. It is something that has a place just in your palm, and you are just exploring the possibilities with it, and with that adorable freedom we had in the 90s when we were exploring the possibilities of electronic music with kind of this club and cult explosion that happened with combination of music and culture, and of course drugs, as always, and
technology.
Yeah. Well, basically the early 90s, they were just using old technology, but you know, and reusing it just to a sense. But it was really much about breaking away from normality and creating something fresh, and basically just diving into technology, somehow searching for it. And I think that kind of attitude we still have, and that is still the kind of the urge behind the music creation is GusGus, is that we are on that path. We are with our attitudes and and our favorite family members that are the, you know, 106, the Dopfer rack here behind me, and you know, some of my close family members, you know, and just examining the possibilities and breaking some, you know, barriers in getting something new and fresh that just just gives me goosebumps, because you know, it's for me, music is like a drug. You need bigger doses of you know new stuff, and you need to somehow refine the kick out of music.
Ok. Ahora, perfect, thank you. Ahora, viene un nuevo sencillo. Este nuevo sencillo, ¿qué elementos nuevos hizo que tuvieron un break de poder sacar música al día de hoy? Ahora, se ven muy emocionados sacando esta música. ¿Y qué es lo nuevo o cómo se están divirtiendo con esta nueva música que están creando? Con este nuevo sencillo.
Well, you have a new single coming up. And how would you say that, you know, like you're enjoying making this new era of GusGus, you know, and how could you explain, you know, the single and how it's influencing, you know, like your mood right now?
We're talking about Simple Tuesday, right, Omar?
Ricardo, ¿estás hablando de Simple Tuesday o el anterior?
No, el nuevo, el Simple Tuesday. Sí.
Simple Tuesday.
Okay, cool. Vill du börja, Daniel?
Nej, tattoo. Próximo.
Yeah, Simple Tuesday was one of those tracks that we managed to explore a little bit in the live set, and it's basically some kind of a mixture from the arpeggio twirls and, you know, this somehow Italo flavor, excitement, but still though combined with this, you know, some rough, you know, new wave attitude. And it was one of those tracks that we had played with live, me and Daniel, and it was, you know, for us one of the key tracks for this kind of the new electronic, rural, indie, something flavor that this album is, you know, as a fusion of music, and it was this track that, you know, we had ready for a while, and we felt that there was something a little bit missing with it. We didn't know exactly what it was, but it was one of those tracks that Margaret Brown from Work, that is now a member of GusGus for this round, came in and basically just finished for us by laying out that beautiful backbone to Daniel's chorus.
Ok. Ahora, ¿cuáles son los planes de GusGus? Ahorita estamos en una pandemia, es complicado salir a tocar, pero ya en Estados Unidos y en algunos países de Europa ya están regresando a los conciertos, a los festivales, a los clubs, empezar a tocar. ¿Tienen planeado algún tour o cómo presentar esto? Porque GusGus es una música electrónica y se va a tocar también en los clubs, en bares, etcétera. Pero ¿cuál es el plan de ustedes como para regresar a los escenarios?
We know that you're having a hard time, you know, touring right now because of the pandemic. But, you know, there are parts in Europe and, you know, like the US that have already restarted doing shows. What are your what's your touring plans? How are you planning to promote this album? And what's in the future with the shows?
Well, to begin with, we're gonna do this streaming concerts as a bridge towards performing live later in the year. We're gonna do a couple of shows in the summer probably, and then we'll do a tour in the autumn. Yeah, that's the plan. But then, you know, anything can
we have already laid out a couple of shows in the fall in Ukraine and Poland and few other gigs, and then we're going to tour like the center of Europe in the fall, and then with the new year we will come to Mexico and travel a little bit further, go to Spain and other territories out of that are not part of the mid-European tour in the fall.
Claro. Ahora, tuvieron mucho tiempo, aparte, antes de la pandemia y durante la pandemia, de estar creando y estar experimentando música, estar experimentando cómo ha evolucionado la música con los grupos, con los grupos que tocan electrónico. ¿Se dieron la oportunidad de conocer nueva música?
During this time that, you know, you took some time off during the pandemic, did you give yourselves a chance to listen what other people were doing and maybe, you know, check out other bands? And if so, which ones have you checked out?
Biggie, that's your department.
Well, I was really pleased with the Grimes album that came out last year. And there are a couple of, you know, basically just track-wise stuff that I've been following a little bit from the club world. But to be honest, the focus has been really strictly on our music for the last couple of months. But it would be, but I sense that of course people are going to come with all the albums out now that they have been working on during this pandemic, you know, and coming with new albums and hitting tours in the next winter. So it will be really interesting to see what comes out of that, you know.
Ok. Ahora, ¿tienen planeado sacar más música aparte de estos dos sencillos que han sacado? Y si el disco ya estará disponible también aquí en México para que la gente lo pueda comprar. Disco físico. ¿Están planeando sacar algún acetato también? Que está muy de moda sacar los viniles.
Apart from these two singles, is the album ready? When is the album out? Is it going to be available in Mexico? Do you know people will be able to purchase them, and via vinyl, which is right now very, it's very in demand?
Yes, the album is going to be is ready and has been ready for a couple of months, and it will come out on the 28th of May. That will be the release day on the digital media. You can already pre-order the vinyl. Compact ships worldwide. I think you can order the vinyl from Compact directly. Compact, Compact in Germany. And there will be other vendors that will have the vinyl available when it is ready. It will also be available on CDs, because there are also strange people that still are using CDs. but I understand the vinyl thing, and I still use a lot of vinyl. So it was really important to do the vinyl as well. And I can promise you that the vinyl sounds great. We already had the test pressing, and it also looks beautiful. So it will be really, we will be really pleased to deliver the vinyl. But I think it will be available like a month, sent out like a month after the album. It's still in the pressing.
Ok, las nuevas generaciones están consumiendo estos viniles. Digo, los primeros CDs que fueron creados ya se borraron, o sea, ya no los están leyendo los reproductores de CD. ¿Qué piensan de esa música que ustedes crearon y que probablemente ya no se va a escuchar para la gente que tuvo los primeros CDs que se compraron? Porque la probabilidad es que se hayan borrado. Me refiero a los primeros CDs que se empezaron a crear, que ya no son leíbles por los reproductores de CDs.
Some of the CDs that were bought, when the first wave of CD came out, basically they're unreadable, or basically the CD players won't read them anymore. What kind of options are, will you offer people, when, your CDs are unreadable?
Well, that basically is just up to the record label who have the rights to those releases to do, whatever they're going to do about re-release and stuff. But I think that, for me, I see that, the new reality of music is basically that if you're going to listen to it digitally, then you're going to just listen to it, from audio files. It makes no difference having it on CD and on audio files. But if you want to have it and hold this release in your hands and own it as a statement to your, somehow your collection, and loyalty to the band. I think the best thing to do that is to buy the vinyl, even if you don't even have the vinyl player, because that is how we see the final product, perfect in its physical form. And I can tell you that my daughter, that is what she does. She buys vinyl, but she never listens to them. She just holds them and then she listens to the tracks on Spotify.
Ok, ahora el problema es que si un día deciden bajar el switch de Spotify o que los servidores truenen, como en el caso es que tenían las partes físicas de Universal en Estados Unidos, que se quemaron los originales donde tenían las bodegas, es complicado volver a recrear, o a juntar la música, es complicado.
Well, like in the event that, for example, they turn off the switch on Spotify, and maybe you don't have the masters of the originals. Like for in the case of Universal, that they lost some of the masters, it's very complicated. Is it gonna be very complicated to recreate the sound?
We have all the masters, so no worries.
No, it's perfect. Ok, ahora, ya nada más como para concluir. Ustedes vienen de un país en donde se creó música, lo único que conocemos en México, no hay mucho conocimiento, sobre todo solamente GusGus, Björk, en cuestión de conocimiento musical. ¿Qué tan complicado fue para ustedes salir de Islandia y crear música para el mundo?
You come from a country where, you know, like there's not much visibility in Mexico regarding bands and acts, you know, coming from Iceland. Only Bjork and GusGus. So how difficult was it for you to export your music?
I think it was basically in you know, how it normally happens is that you just do your music and you send it out into the world. And then those communities that connect with it, they come back and ask you to come over to have a live show. And you never know what kind of community those are. You just send it out and then you just see what happens. And one of those communities that has shown GusGus enough love to want us to come over to have shows and to have enough love to play our songs on the radio is Mexico. So that basically started our connection with Mexico. It was your enthusiasm and your love for our music. And we certainly appreciated it. And when we came to Mexico for the first time, it was like a bliss. You know, we have never tasted as exciting food, and the people were so lovely. And I remember it vividly. It was, you know, it was really a good time. So it was you who started this, you know. So you should maybe just ask some of your friends, why do you like GusGus?
Claro, era complicado. Yo recuerdo la estación donde trabajaba, que era 105.7, era la tercera estación más importante de FM, y haber recibido el primer sencillo de GusGus, y haber ido a los clubs y a los bares, y estar escuchando GusGus, y ver cómo la gente evolucionaba y gritaba y bailaba con su música. Es algo especial de nuestra parte transmitírselo a ustedes.
I still remember when I was working in the radio station, on the first radio station I worked, and getting the first GusGus single, and you know, like, and then listening to it, you know, at the clubs and the bars, and how people started reacting to it, and you know, people got really excited with the original GusGus singles, and it's very, you know, like it's maybe, you know, like a way, you know, to like give back to you for your music.
Mm-hmm.
Was that a question, Omar?
It was more like a statement.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And I think that, you know, it will also be really interesting maybe to examine later, Daniel, you know, as we are doing this special show with some of the old 90s songs, if we would get a call from Mexico wanting us to do that 90s compact show later on when we do. Let's see. Maybe we'll get it. Let's see.
Ok, perfecto. Digo, ya nada más para concluir, ¿han colaborado en algunas películas, en films, o tienen planeado hacer música también para películas? Digo, se utiliza mucho hacer colaboraciones también con directores de cine. ¿Con quién les gustaría trabajar?
Has your music been in films? And if not, you know, like, is there, you know, right now there's a lot of collaborations of artists with film directors. Is there a special film director you'd love to work with?
Well, our music we're in a couple of films in the 90s. Omar, you remember some of those, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple of films. You know, it's out. You know, I don't.
But Darren Aronofsky, Pi.
Yeah, it was in Pi. Yeah, true. There were
Austin Powers.
Yeah.
It's my favorite film, actually.
Yeah, there were a couple of movies in the 90s, and in the later years we have had music in a couple of Icelandic movies, but we haven't had any calls from Hollywood yet. Maybe they don't like German techno, but now as we're doing, you know, kind of fusion of new wave and country music, you know, maybe they buy into it because they're, you know, America is basically, it's all just country music in different flavors.
Is there a film director you'd like to work with, though?
Daniel, what's your favorite film director?
I think Gus Van Sant would be a first choice. Yeah, I mean, it would just be interesting for us in general to take on like scoring a whole film. That would be the I don't know, the dream job, or maybe a nightmare. I don't know. It would be fun to explore that, I think.
I know exactly how we would do it. We would just perform it. We would just, start
like
the movie,
perform it for a silent movie.
Performing the music while the scenes are happening, just like, bring it down and just, so we would maybe create tracks for different scenes and then just play them live somehow over the scene. Well, basically you can do it in the studio. Basically, that is how we do our music in the first place. It's all about, just executing it, on the equipment and, and recording it and arranging it. So yeah, it would be interesting to do a film like Daniel says. We would have great fun doing that, Daniel, for sure.
Yeah.
Ok, perfecto. Oigan, pues muchas gracias, mucha suerte con este nuevo sencillo. Muchas gracias por haber platicado con nosotros. Y bueno, pues esperamos que vengan a México. Cuando vengan a México, por favor, no duden en visitarnos aquí en la cabina y los llevamos a comer unos tacos y un tequila.
Tequila, yeah,
Yeah, we understood
that. Basically, he's thanking you for the interview, and he says that when you come to Mexico, please come over and visit them over at the radio booth.
Well,
and tequila. Yes, true. Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And we make a shot to the tequila, right?
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Gracias, Omar. Que estés muy bien.